Hello Year 1. This week in art we're going to be drawing a picture of a goldfish a bit like this, and we're going to do this because last week we learnt about different types of line, and this picture uses lots of line in it. We've got curved lines, we've got shaded lines, we've got straight lines, and we want to practice using all of these skills today. So first thing we need to do is take a nice clean page in our sketchbook, and we also need to have a look at the picture of the goldfish that is on your Firefly page. Now, if we look at the body of the fish, this is the first thing we're going to look at, and we can make it easier to draw by dividing it into shapes. So I'm going to divide it into a circle shape in the middle, followed by two curved, slightly triangular shapes. And so this is what I'm going to draw in my sketchbook to make it easier. So I'm going to draw a big circle in the middle of my page, and then I'm going to draw a curved shape that goes around in a curve at the top, and I'm going to do the other ends exactly the same. Okay, so the body of the fish looks a little bit like an eye. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to think about the fins of the fish. So I'm going to add a shape that goes out in two directions and just cuts across like that. Now at the moment it doesn't look like a fish, but we're going to use all these different shapes to help us turn it into a fish picture. Okay, now we're going to add the fin shape, and for the fin all I want you to do is draw a sort of triangle shape at the top. Okay, and then you're going to do the fins at the bottom. So we'll do one here and one in the corner, like this. Okay, now this one can be a little bit shorter. Okay, still not really looking like a fish, but we've got all the shapes we need to start turning it into a better fish. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the eye of the fish. So I'm going to do a big circle, if you look, and then inside that circle I can see two more circles. And then this part of the eye, the pupil, is shaded in. So I move my hand up the pencil and shade in that part of his eye. Okay. Now, next, I want to think about the fish's mouth. Now, on this picture, you can't see it that clearly, but I'm going to draw a line that comes down this way to show its mouth, and a line that comes that way to show its mouth. Just like that, okay? And two parallel. So, Year 1, this is what I have so far. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to add all of the details inside the fish that make it look more real. So I'm going to start by adding the gills. The gills are these lines that you can see on the fish's head, and this is where the fish breathes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw those onto my fish. There's one that goes right across, and then there's a few lines just inside like this. I'm going to draw those on nice and darkly like that. Okay, and then once I've drawn on those gills, I'm going to go around the fish and just make all of the lines of my fish stand out. So just the head of the fish, okay? So I make those lines nice and dark so that they stand out nicely. Next, I'm going to make the fins and the tail fin look more real, because at the moment it looks like a triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the end of the fin come out a little bit, and then I'm going to do a curved line like this, and it curves around more like that. And I can see on that fin there are lots of lines that go across the fin like this. I'll draw those on. Then I'm going to look at the tail, the fin in the middle of the fish. It's got a curved back, and then it goes around in a curvy shape like this. And I'm going to add those lines that I can see on the fin. Let me look at the back fin. It's got a curved side here, and then it curves all the way down and round. And again, there are those lines all over that fin. Let's look at the tail. So the tail curves up, and then it curves in to the middle and out again and round, okay? And again, draw on those lines to show on the tail of the fish, okay? So we've done the basic details, and now what we need to do are the scales on the fish's body. Now, don't do these too small because it will take you too long and it will get too much. So if you do your scales nice and big across the whole fish like this, and then on each scale you can see that the scales overlap, so they don't sit on top of each other like this. You have to overlap them so they start in the middle of the scale underneath, and you want to make your scales go right over the fish's body, just like this. Okay, keep going right until you've filled up the whole body. Okay, so our fish is beginning to look much more detailed. There's lots of detail on it now. It's looking much more real. The next thing we need to do to make it even better is to add shading. Now, shading shows where the light and dark, the light patches and the dark patches of the fish are. And if you look at my fish drawing, you can see the light parts of the fish and you can see the dark parts of the fish. And that's what we're going to do to our fish now. So first of all, we're going to go around the edge of the whole fish just to make all the important parts stand out. Make them nice and strong and dark all the way around, and go over all of those lines, including those scales. Okay? Once you've been around the whole fish, including the tail and all of the fins, you can start to shade. Now, I'm looking at the fish here. I can see it's quite dark at the top here. So I'm going to shade along the top here. That's probably the darkest part of the fish. And I'm going to keep going just around the edge. Then I'm going to look at the scales. Now you can see that the scales are dark in the center and light around the edge. So in each of those scales, I'm just going to shade in the middle, all over the fish. Okay? So all your shading goes right over the fish here. And then you can start to add just really gentle shading on the fish's face, around the mouth, and on the fins. Shade all over, and it makes your fish look more lifelike. So by the time that you have shaded your whole fish, it should look something like this, and you can see shading all over my fish. So year one, I'm going to leave you to have a go now. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing your work on Firefly. Bye-bye.